What's up, Lowrider family? Welcome back to another episode here on Lolos and More. And now today, well, you can see we are somewhere else. We are actually at the place where I work. This is where I work out of. My office is over there behind those AC units. As you can tell, we are finally going to box a frame. Now, this is my spare frame. This is not the frame that's underneath my truck. My truck is still in my little garage at my apartments. This is a spare truck that I bought for, I think I paid 175, 150 for the truck. It had no transmission, no brakes, but hey, I got a frame, a rear end, a motor, and front suspension out of it, and I think I paid, I don't know, maybe that day another 150 bucks for rental and gas and food because I took my family with me to go get the truck. And I want my truck to be the cleanest hopper there is in the Northwest. I know that's a big statement, but you gotta shoot for them stars. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do. Let's see. First things first. You gotta come up with a game plan on how you want to build it. But what I kind of recommend first, look at the stuff you don't need and mark it off and take it off, whatever. For example, as you can see, I painted red spots on the parts that I'm going to take off. I'm going to take off these two rear cross members and just put a nice piece of C-channel or something, or a piece of square tubing over it. In place of that, take off all of my leaf spring mounts. This cross member only holds the exhaust and the fuel tank, and on mine I'm going to move the fuel tank back. A reason for that is because I'm going with a 4-link suspension in the back. So leaf springs are going, and I'm putting in the trailing arms. And with the gas tank here, for example, I still have the bump stops on here. This is where the axle would be, and this is where the fuel tank would end. As you can tell, it's very close to the rear end. So I'm taking off the fuel tank, and I'm gonna buy one and modify one to fit back here, an aluminum one. I looked it up. It's pretty easy to do. That'll be something I'll have in my other channel as well, relocating and making an aluminum fuel tank. But yeah, just make a game plan, figure out what you want to take off your frame and what you're not going to use. So this is what I'm not going to use. Everything that I have that has red paint on it. I'm also going to get rid of the mounts for my upper control arms because these suck. Every time I hop my truck or play with the hydros, it moves. The arms move. So I'm gonna get rid of those. I'm gonna make stand-up mounts, and I'm gonna use G-body upper mounts, upper A-arms. I'm not gonna use the A-arms that I use anymore that come with my truck because the ball joint, it screws into the arm. It's not pressed or anything. It's screwed into the arm. So I'm gonna get rid of that because if I ever break a ball joint and it's an upper ball joint, I'm gonna be wrenching it for hours trying to get the ball joint off, or it might strip from hopping it too much. So there's that. I'm gonna take those off, but before I take those off, I think I'm gonna make a jib or a jig, kind of, so I can kind of remember where the mounts would be, so my alignment can kind of be okay, kind of where it would be. As you can see, I got tubing here. I was gonna use this tubing. I think it's an inch and a half, inch and a quarter tubing with 1/4 inch wall, but I'm not going to use this stuff. I'm actually going to throw it away. Um, I don't know why I put this one here, but I'm going to go ahead throw away this stuff. I got it for free anyways. If I come up with the right size that I need at work, then I'm going to use it. But I'm going to use 2-inch steel pipe. I'm not going to use this. This is inch and a quarter, inch and a half, or something like that. But yeah, I'll be using 2-inch to make my trailing arms. Um, well, not too. I don't want to bore you too much. So first things first, I got all of my paper over here. I don't think I bought enough, but I got 15 sheets of paper. I'm going to start making my templates. And by the time we come back, which will be a few seconds for you, I'll have all of my plates cut out, laying on the floor, being ready to weld onto the frame. And I would already have had everything besides the front, but everything in the back that is painted red already off of the frame and cleaned up, ready to go. Since I am taking out these two rear cross members, before I take off this cross member, I'm going to put in one here temporarily, here in the middle, in between these two. Weld it in, take both of them off, and then weld another one back in the place of this one. So that's what I'm gonna do. I know this is a truck, not a G-body or an Impala, but you can take what I'm gonna show you here and use it towards your G-body frame. On an Impala X frame, it's different because you're dealing with an X, so there's a lot going on in the middle of the Impala frame. And if you want a high lockup, you got to cut out the bottom of the tunnel and reinforce the inside of the tunnel and outside and all that good stuff. But you can pretty much take this, what I'm going to show you, and use it towards any frame that you guys want to wrap. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, make my templates, and I guess by the time we get back, I'll be ready to weld and show you guys some stuff, I guess. Hopefully. We'll see what happens in a few seconds. And one thing I did forget to mention, when you're making your templates out of paper, keep in mind, once you get to a certain point in front of the frame, towards the front of the frame, or a certain point in the back of the frame, depending what you're working on, it's not always going to be the same on the opposite side of the frame. Like for example, this my motor sits here, right? There's this big mounting bracket here, but not over here, so keep that in mind when making your template. And as you can see, that these two right here, these are my two lower A-arm mounts. As you can tell, here on this side of the frame, above the mount, there's like a dip here. And over here, there isn't. It's pretty much squared off. So keep that in mind. So what I kind of went through on my frame is everything behind the front body mount, right where it begins to kind of curve up, it's all identical on my frame going back. So what I could do is pretty much just make templates for one side of the frame, cut them out twice, and then weld it on the other side. So this way I don't have to make templates for the whole entire frame. But for the front, it's going to have to be completely template out. Completely. And some of you are saying, some of you are probably thinking in your head that part of your frame and my frame is already kind of boxed already. It is boxed, but this is not strong. Of course, right here is the weak point of the frame, right here. So just keep that in mind. Just because it looks boxed doesn't mean you continue boxing from here and go back. You still want to wrap it with metal on all four sides. That's what wrapping is. If you're just reinforcing, then you're just putting plate on one or two sides or three sides of the of the frame. So that's the difference. All right, I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to continue with my templates. All right, so I got my oldest son to kind of help me a little bit as I did other things. He went ahead and kind of cleaned up the edges of where the factory welds are. As you can tell, there's like weld here. The weld disappears and comes back around here, but it's not that consistent, and there's not much welds there. On my other frame that's on the truck right now, the pocket area has began to swell up and come up. I did have where this bracket ripped off the frame because of that, but I was able to fix it by hammering it down and just giving it some really good welds around here and here and here to where I could get it at, and it hasn't broken or anything. And I went ahead and did the same thing on the other side to prevent that from happening. But that was because I'm switch happy. I like to, kind of hop it when I'm just cruising. I don't gas hop it. I let off the gas at about 15 miles per hour, and then I like to hop it. But that's what happened to me. So that's what I did to mine. You could do it to the G bodies and stuff like that. So, if you don't want to reinforce, I do recommend you just weld over your factory welds. I wouldn't even call it welds. I don't even know what to call it. But so I'm gonna go ahead and weld. I'm not gonna do like a solid weld all the way. What I'm gonna do is weld for about 2 inches, skip an inch, weld for 2 inches, skip an inch, and do that through everywhere where I have to. I'm not gonna do the underneath of the frame. I'm just gonna do the top, just because the top is what has to be stronger to hold all the way and to handle the abuse of hopping it. Because if you reinforce the top, let's say my arm, you reinforce the top, then it's not gonna want to do that. You reinforce it, it'll stay like that. But if it's not reinforced, and your frame's gonna be, you get the idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Weld, I guess you can call it like a stitch weld type deal. I already began removing cross members that I'm not gonna use. I removed the dry shaft bearing member, a cross member that goes right here. I'm gonna put it back once I'm done. And one thing to take into account, for those, for those guys that want to reinforce their frame too, if it's a truck, because we're adding a 1/4 inch of material on top, what you need to do is add a 1/4 inch of spacers in between this plate, because this is where the dry shaft bearing is mounted to this plate on the cross member. So I recommend you take that into account. Add a washer underneath this plate, in between this plate, in between these two plates, and that'll counter the material you're going to add, because you're raising that cross member. So you got to lower that plate so it goes back the way it was when it was stock. So we're doing that. I still have to do some cleaning up to do. I need to still cut out some plates, as you can tell, but I'm going to wait those for last. I took out the rear spring mounts. I still got the front ones to do. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just weld right now. And I did get all of my plates cut out. They're sitting over here. I got them all cut out. They're not pretty because I don't have a steady hand. So, and it was, a bit of a pain to do. But like I said, the front half of my frame up to this point right here, it's all going to be 3/16 thick metal all the way around, completely boxed. And then the back half is going to be 1/4 inch thick material. So we're going to do that. Once I get to this point of reinforcing, after adding all the plates, because all of this forward is going to be a pain in the butt because it's all puzzle pieces. You got to puzzle it together and stuff like that. Once I get to here back, that's the easy part because I got no weird curves to deal with or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to get welding now. I'll show you how it looks when I'm done, and then I can continue tacking on plates. But I still have some stuff to take off before we really get to that point. But some plates I can't start tacking on. So we'll be right back. Alright, I went ahead, did my stitch welds all along the frame, exactly where I wanted to do. Just so you guys are aware, what I'm going to do with this cross member, I know it doesn't, you're not going to have this issue as I am. But I went ahead and welded the member to the frame, and then I'm going to remove the bolts, and then once those bolts are removed, I'm going to have a piece of flat bar come all the way to flush with this right here. So those are going away, so you don't pay attention to that anyways. But yeah, I got the whole frame stitch welded where I wanted it welded. So pretty much now the next step is start cleaning up the frame with a wire wheel everywhere. For those that don't want to, I mean, that's your choice. If you don't want to clean the frame or have it sandblasted, it's totally cool. I understand, but just know if for some reason you have a bad rust spot somewhere on the frame and we cover it up and it's untreated, that rust is going to keep growing. The frame inside your reinforcement is going to deteriorate, and then there's a possibility of that rust transferring to the new material, the plates that we would use to reinforce the frame, and then you'll have the exact same issue all over again. So it's totally up to you what you want to do with your frame. I suggest cleaning it as much as you can, but of course, with most front ends being already kind of boxed in the way mine is, there's no way we can get on the inside. So when you go get a frame, it's your responsibility to go ahead and inspect the frame, make sure that there's no really bad rust spots. As you can tell, my frame has been sitting outside for a good year and a half already here at my work, and it hasn't rusted. All there is just a bunch of surface rust that easily comes off with the wire wheel very easily. And I had my kid clean up all of the edges so I can do the little stitch welds to the frame. He did it real quick. He did it in just a few minutes because this isn't real bad rust. It's just surface rust. So yeah, I just did whatever I could. Here I filled it in as best I could because it was a really big gap right here. A good, I would say, a 3/4 inch gap. Fill it in. I did about 3 passes in here. So that's what I did. Nice. I still have to clean the welds with the wire wheel, but I like how the welds came out. They might not be consistent, like a straight line all the time, but these, I love my welds. You can say whatever you want to say. So, alright, well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video short here. I know you guys have been wanting to see more videos, and I was hoping to do this whole video, cover this whole video and just doing the wrap frame, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and split it. Next time you see it, we're gonna be plating the whole frame from, you know, just plating whatever we can the way it sits right now. I know some of you are gonna say, why don't I have the frame on a frame? Man, I can't think anymore. On one of those frame racks so that it doesn't bend. Well, I don't have the time nor the room. This isn't my place, of course. Of course I work here. So when I'm done working, I gotta put this, you know, put it away where it's not in the way. But I'm gonna do whatever I can with what I got and just keep moving forward. That's all I could do. And remember, my videos are more for the guys that want to do their rides at home, you know, and not spend thousands and thousands of dollars on tools. Yeah, I got a new tool, new plasma cutter, new welder. They cost thousands of dollars each, but you know, all of this can still be done on a 120 volt plasma cutter and welder. Right now, both my welder and my plasma cutter are both 220 volts, and I am very impressed because it would have taken me a good 3 hours to just do this right here with my other welder because it would shut down each time. With this, I was very, very impressed. So I'm never going back to a 120 welder ever again. But like I was saying, my videos are for the guys doing their stuff at home and wanting to learn. So this is one of those things, keeping it under budget and doing it well. So you guys will see more videos coming soon, of course, of the frame, and I'm doing uppers and lower control arms as well right at the moment. So until then, guys, I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.